Hey, what is up, mortals? ObsidianZed here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you are subscribed to us. So please hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. In the world of Naruto, ninjas wield supernatural powers known as jutsu. They gather together in villages consisting of several clans within different countries known as lands. In the Land of Fire, one of the most famous and powerful ninja villages exists. Kono Hagakure, or the village hidden in the leaves, is one of the most powerful of the various ninja villages in the world. This village had a leader, the Hokage, Hirusen Sarutobi, known as a god of shinobi and also as one of the wisest men ever to have lived. This leader had 3 disciples, who would later rise on to become known as the Sannin, or legendary ninja. Today's deep dive is about one of those legendary ninja, the Toad Sage, Jiraya. Jiraya went by many names: the Toad Sage, one of the 3 legendary Sannin, and Pervy Sage. When we first meet him in the manga and anime, he is a man in his early 50s, standing at 6 foot 2 inches or 191.2 centimeters tall and about 192.9 pounds or 87.5 kilograms, with a tall, wide-shouldered, athletic build. He had fair skin and waist-length spiky white hair he tied back in a ponytail with spiky bangs in the front. This white hair is his natural color, as flashbacks into his past show him with his hair color even as a child. He has a red line under each eye that extends down his face, starting as small lines under his eyes when he was a child. He has a small wart on his nose and wears a metal forehead protector with tiny horn-like nubs on the upper front corners poking over his hair. There is writing on the metal reading out the kanji for oil. He normally wears a short green kimono and matching pants. Underneath this is a mesh armor chain shirt and chain pants that go down to his wrists and ankles. He wore handguards, a black belt, traditional Japanese wooden sandals, and a red Haori jacket with 2 yellow circles on each side. He often carried a large scroll on his back and had a tattoo on his left palm. Jiraiya, as a ninja, was capable of taijutsu, ninjutsu, and genjutsu. He was capable of 4 of the 5 basic nature release types: fire, wind, water, and earth, and was also capable of yin and yang release type jutsus. He, along with his 2 teammates, had been capable of competing against the powerful ninja Hanzo, a person so powerful that groups of great renown like the Uchiha clan and the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist were unable to compete with him. Jiraiya grew in skill and power, such that several ninjas of great ability, such as Kisame Hoshigaki and Itachi Uchiha, both believed they would not be able to overcome the Sannin in a fight. Jiraiya had a massive chakra reserve, enough to allow him to summon Gamabunta, a 100-foot-tall giant horned toad, and use Sinjutsu, the nature-based chakra that gave its user great power. For comparison's sake, Naruto had 4 times the chakra amount of the legendary Kakashi, but at the beginning of the series, Naruto needed to rely on his tailed beast chakra to summon Gamabunta. Jiraiya had enough chakra normally to summon Gamabunta and still perform a plethora of jutsus. He has great chakra control, capable of summoning a Rasengan to both hands, a feat that Naruto could not complete without at least 2 shadow clones alongside his main body, and could carve messages in chakra despite being weakened and dampened from drugs. He was also knowledgeable enough of genjutsu to break out of it and teach others to do so as well, and whilst not demonstrated, was likely skilled enough in genjutsu that Itachi, a genjutsu master, had not felt it necessary to attempt to battle him with genjutsu. His raw physical strength was also quite substantial. With a flick of the wrist, he tossed a kid Naruto several meters away with a single finger tap. In the anime, he was shown capable of lifting and throwing large boulders, and with taijutsu, he could kick away monsters of comparative size to Gamabunta or the tailed beasts. Ultimately, Jiraiya's skills as a ninjutsu master are what he is most known for. Famed as the Toad Sage, he has a summoning contract with the sentient toads of Mount Myoboku. This contract allows him to fight alongside summoned toads in battle, or summon a special zone known as the Toad's Esophagus, capable of restricting enemies' movements. Other portions of his toad-based skills include spitting oil from his mouth, hiding in a target's shadow to control their actions through subtlety, and sending out small toads to infiltrate sensitive areas for covert operations. Whilst weakened by a drug that disrupted his chakra, he was still capable of feats such as the growing and manipulating of his hair to bind and destroy targets and surround him as a defense, as well as summon a muddy swamp capable of nearly submerging the leviathan of a snake known as Manda. Manda was Orochimaru's main snake summon and was so large he was capable of swallowing the already insanely large Gamabunta whole. As stated before, he was capable of the Rasengan, ninjutsu of the second highest difficulty rank, and was capable of modifying it into a gigantic form known as the Big Ball Rasengan. He was at a level considerably close to the capability of the original creator of the Rasengan, the fourth Hokage, Minato. Powers he had demonstrated with his nature release jutsus included a massive fireball that he could launch in tandem with his toad oil, creating a much larger conflagration. He was also capable of summoning a much greater swamp than he used to slow down Manda and could create massive defensive walls of earth. Along with this understanding of normal jutsus was an understanding of fuinjutsu, or sealing techniques. This expertise allowed him to immediately deduce the workings of Naruto's 8 trigram seal that kept the Nine Tails within his body. He was also able to almost immediately detect that Orochimaru had placed a 5 trigram seal over the original seal, restricting Naruto's chakra and causing an imbalance, weakening the youth. Within moments, he was able to remove the offending seal, which allowed Naruto to use his chakra at a greater level of competency. The most amazing technique in Jiraya's repertoire was his use of Sinjutsu, which utilized nature chakra. Nature chakra was different from normal chakra as it came from nature itself, but required the user to have massive reserves of chakra on their own and needed them to absorb enough to see physical effects. If they took too little, there was no change, but if they took too much nature chakra, they'd be transformed into hybrid human frogs and then immediately turned into statues. Sinjutsu allows the user to enter a state known as Seij mode. In Seij mode, Jiraiya gained improved speed, durability, physical strength, and regeneration. While in the Seij mode, he was capable of empowering his other ninjutsus to higher levels than with his normal chakra reserves. Unfortunately, he never fully mastered the technique, so while he was near perfection, he had a slight toad-like appearance while utilizing the mode. Since Seij mode utilized Sinjutsu quickly, he would summon the 2 toads, Fukusaku and Shima, who would continuously gather nature chakra for him, and combine their techniques, creating Sage arts like his Sage Art Gomen, which combined oil, fire, and wind to create an extremely powerful inferno comparable to, or even greater than, some of the most powerful single fire release jutsus. All in all, his techniques and skill were enough that he was capable of fighting the pain of 6 paths, even defeating one of the body clones before eventually succumbing. Pain Nagato, the controller of the 6 bodies that created the 6 paths of pain, had been capable of defeating Hanzo single-handedly. The same Hanzo that Jiraiya had been incapable of overcoming in his younger years, even with the aid of his other 2 Sani. Despite this great gulf of skill and Pain's great power over his country, providing him home field advantage, Jiraiya was still capable of fighting to great effect. To give context to Pain's power, he later invades the village of Konoha and without Naruto nearly destroys the entire village and kills nearly all their inhabitants, including Kakashi. Before we get back into the dive, I'd like to say that in case you didn't know, we are a secondary channel to our main channel, We the Celestials. We the Celestials is full of fun what-if stories, and if you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, give that channel a visit as well. And if you're interested in the content we share with all channels, make sure you click the icon in the top right corner or check the description below for a link to that channel. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. Jiraiya had lived to be around 54 years old and had quite a life. As an orphan child, he was raised in the village hidden in the leaves, Konoha. There, after graduating from Konoha's Ninja Academy, Jiraiya found himself teamed up with fellow genin Orochimaru and Tsunade, where they would be taught by their teacher Hiruzen Sarutobi. Much like Team 7 of Naruto, the 3 young graduates were given a test to capture bells from their teacher. Much like Naruto after him, Jiraiya fell for his teacher's tricks, and for failing to get a bell, was tied to a stump as punishment. Hiruzen encouraged Jiraiya at this time to be more like Orochimaru, with Tsunade and Orochimaru both making fun of him for his naivete. Jiraiya rebutted that he was extremely skilled, with access to the transparent escape technique, which in the anime granted the user invisibility. Jiraiya continued to grow with his team, at one point nearly dying after peeping at Tsunade and having her catch him. As he continued developing as a ninja, he discovered Mount Miyaboku, the residence of the ninja toads. In the anime, it covers that he was brought there from trying to summon a toad without forming a contract. Fukasaku, the leader and father of the current generation of ninja toads, trained Jiraiya in their abilities. Jiraiya around this time likely learned Sinjutsu. Whilst in Mount Miyaboku, the great toad sage made a prediction about Jiraiya, and that he would travel the world and during that time meet a fabled child of prophecy, a child who would grow up to either save or destroy the world depending on Jiraiya's teachings. Jiraiya carried this thought with him as he continued to grow and develop. Then the Second Shinobi World War occurred. During this international war, Jiraiya worked together with Orochimaru and Tsunade, and they made a name for themselves with their skills and teamwork. During one major fight in Amegakure, the village hidden in the rain, they were the only three to survive an encounter with Hanzo, a famed and powerful ninja in the village of the rain. In exchange for their great skill, Hanzo dubbed them the three great Sannin of Konoha. After the battle, they encountered 3 war orphans. Tsunade wanted to mostly ignore them, and Orochimaru thought it would be kinder to simply kill them, but Jiraiya, feeling guilty for his involvement in the war, decided to train the 3. Those 3 children were Yahiko, Konan, and Nagato. Eventually, Jiraiya discovers that Nagato possesses the Rinnegan, legendary eyes that once belonged to the Sage of Six Paths. Jiraiya believed then that Nagato was the child of prophecy and agreed to train them in full, hoping to guide Nagato to save the world. Nagato was a kind person who wished to protect Yahiko and Konan and to not hurt others. Jiraiya comforts Nagato on his feelings and tells him that it is enough to want to protect people important to him, and that while the world was unfair and mired with war, he believed that it could end. Nagato decided that it was possible to end the bloodshed and that while he didn't know how he'd achieve it, he'd eventually bring peace. Inspired by Nagato, Jiraiya began making a story known as The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi. After 3 years of training the orphans, Jiraiya decided they were ready to be ninjas on their own and returned to Konoha. He left them a finished copy of his book dedicated to the orphans. News of the 3 would reach the Sannin's ears from time to time, but soon Jiraiya stopped getting news and then later learned of their deaths. Jiraiya soon became an elite-level ninja and was assigned 3 students. Amongst them was Minato Namikaze. Due to his talent and genius, Jiraiya, who believed Nagato to be dead, taught Minato personally and taught him many skills. Minato eventually created the Rasengan and taught it to Jiraiya. The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi was soon released but was not received popularly. Minato, who had eventually become the 4th Hokage, and his wife Kushina Uzumaki loved the book and decided to name their son after the main character in the story, Naruto, a slight deviation from the name Nagato. Jiraiya tries to refuse as it would make him Naruto's godfather, but the 2 insisted that it is good. Tragically, Minato and Kushina lose their lives in the aftermath of Obito's attack of the village, leading to the 9-tailed demon fox attack. Minato sealed the 9-tails into the newborn Naruto and gave Jiraiya the key to the seal through a special toad. Jiraiya assumed then that Minato wanted him to train Naruto, but he had kept himself away from the village and its growth, covertly defending it. Eventually, Orochimaru betrayed the Leaf Village, and Jiraiya, alongside Hirusen, viewed this as a painful betrayal. Eventually, due to the suspicions of Orochimaru and the now outcropping Akatsuki, Jiraiya began to investigate their movements and actions, keeping him from the village. The first time we meet him in the manga and anime, though, is before the fight between Naruto and Gaara. Naruto immediately believes Jiraiya to be a strange pervert, as he has little historical knowledge outside the 3rd Hokage being a person that exists and is old. Jiraiya removes Orochimaru's dummy seal on Naruto, which allows him to use chakra better again. He also then teaches Naruto the Toad Contract and teaches him how to summon. Naruto summons a tadpole the first time, then can summon Gamabunta, the largest toad. The elders of the village corner Jiraiya, asking him to become the next Hokage given Hirusen's recent passing. Jiraiya refuses and suggests Tsunade could be the next Hokage, especially as she was the first Hokage's granddaughter and another legendary Sannin. He then learns that Tsunade left the village and is missing. Jiraiya decided to go find Tsunade and decided that he would take Naruto with him. On their trip, Naruto and Jiraiya are attacked by Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki, 2 strong members of the Akatsuki. Itachi deeply scars Sasuke and nearly captures Naruto if not for Jiraiya's intervention. Jiraiya, deciding that Naruto needs to be able to defend himself, starts teaching the boy the Rasengan. They eventually find Tsunade, who has been using her jutsu to shift her age to escape gambling debts, being capable of shifting anywhere between 20 and 40, appearing as a woman in her early 30s before them. Tsunade scoffs at their attempt to bring her and insults the legacy of the Hokage. Naruto, angered by her words, tries to attack her with an incomplete Rasengan but fails. Tsunade challenged Naruto to master it within a week and she'd consider his words, else she would keep all the money he saved up, which had amounted to quite a good level over the years. Tsunade is secretly approached by Orochimaru and from their conversation decides to drug Jiraiya to meet Orochimaru alone so that she could kill him. They are interrupted first by Orochimaru's servant Kabuto, then by a drugged Jiraiya and Naruto. Despite all three sides being weakened from past events, Naruto manages to knock out Kabuto, and Tsunade and Jiraiya defeat Orochimaru, with Tsunade agreeing to come back to become Hokage. Sasuke, recovering from Itachi's genjutsu, challenges Naruto to a fight. Kakashi and Jiraiya stop the fight and both criticize the other for teaching their respective students such deadly jutsus like the Chidori and Rasengan. Sasuke believes his attack to be more devastating until seeing Naruto's Rasengan destroy half a water tower. This show of strength is what galvanizes him to leave the Village of the Leaf and join Orochimaru. Naruto fails to bring him back, and Jiraiya decides to train him, beginning the 3-year time skip. During these 3 years, Jiraiya gets injured whilst helping Naruto delve into the power of the Nine Tails and keeps tabs on news about the Akatsuki who have captured several Jinchuriki. Eventually, 2 of them make their way into Konoha once more in an attempt to capture Naruto but are later defeated. Jiraiya, very wary of the leader of the Akatsuki, goes to his supposed home base in the village hidden in the rain. There, Jiraiya is attacked by 6 ninjas all bearing the Rinnegan with black chakra stalks embedded in their body. One of the 6 was Yahiko, leading Jiraiya to at first believe that Nagato and Konan had died and Yahiko had somehow taken Nagato's eyes and created the Akatsuki. As the fight continues, Jiraiya manages to defeat one of the bodies, the human path, capable of summoning various creatures and people, and was able to surmise that Pain was Nagato, using the powers of the Rinnegan to control the 6 bodies. He was too injured, however, to retreat, and before being killed, wrote the message onto Fukasaku, who brought it to the village hidden in the Leaf's attention. However, with Jiraiya's death, followed shortly by Hitachi's death, the Akatsuki no longer had a reason to not invade Konoha in full, and Pain would go on to attack the village. Jiraiya's information, however, proved extremely useful as it allowed the ninja to surmise Pain's location and begin an assault towards that location. Naruto, however, beat them to the area, but instead of killing Pain, reminded him of Jiraiya's teachings, inspiring him to restore the lives of those he killed, likely in honor of his friends, of Naruto and Jiraiya, his deceased teacher. Jiraiya had a complex personality. While as a child he was brash and loud like Naruto, he was quite competent and skilled, capable of inventing jutsus all on his own. He was fiercely brave and loyal, and he could never find a reason that would satisfy him as to why Orochimaru betrayed the village and spent more time away from the village in hopes of discovering the plans of the village's enemies. He was kind to the 3 children of Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan, and whilst hesitant at first, trained them in ninjutsu that suited each of their personalities and chakra. He showed them great teaching skills in his development of Naruto, who, along with Sakura, after the 3-year time skip had finally passed the bell test with their Jonin instructor Kakashi. He was very weak to women. Itachi had been able to distract him with a woman put under genjutsu, allowing the Uchiha to nearly capture Naruto. Whilst he was quite perverted, he never went past voyeurism, and while it is likely that he had relationships with women, he never sired any children or got married. Because of this, he treated Minato like his son, and when finally able to meet Naruto, he thought of the boy as his grandson. Despite this familial care, he was a no-nonsense teacher, very much believing in giving Naruto the basics and forcing him to learn the rest on his own. Despite that, and despite his constant admonition of Naruto being an idiot, he was proud of the boy's accomplishments and believed him to be the true child of prophecy. He died believing he had failed in many things, but had died smiling, believing that, at the least, he succeeded in his training with Naruto. Now thank you all for watching the video to the end. There are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of these, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested and hit that like button if you like the video. Also, if you like this video and would like a continuation, let's see if we can get at least 30 likes for the video and we'll have a continuation ready. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day.